How do you get promotion? How do you guarantee promotion? You can't, but you can do the right things, the right steps put in place early on, and we are in that early on stage now, although it feels like the longer it goes, the less early on we're in. It feels like if you get the building blocks in place, then you can build on those building blocks. Who better to tell us about what it actually takes to achieve promotion, particularly after playoff heartache, than someone who's been there before? Just Joe, friend of the channel, Leeds United fan. Joe, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's good to be back. I remember doing a short skit for your good friend and a video, and I remember saying, "Good luck, you'll need it," and you did. Yeah. And we got promoted.
Yeah, you are a soothsayer. You are a witch. You are a man of prophecy, and you often do get it right. So we're going to come back to that. But I think the most important thing when thinking about promotion is I want to talk about Leeds United because they are the team closest to this exact scenario of missing out, in my opinion, the most painful way. It's the best way if you go up, but it's the worst way if you don't. So talk to me about the way Leeds attacked pre-season. I know we're asking you to remember sort of a year ago, but the ins, the outs, after the playoff defeat and into that following championship season.
Yeah, I think one important thing, I think those at the top of the club need to know what their plan is and stick to that, because had they have listened to the fans, Barker would have gone, players would have gone left, right and centre. But they stuck to task. They backed Daniel to get us up second time around. They also made some key decisions that upset a lot of fans, i.e. the sale of 𝗬𝗏𝗏 Gray. That was a big one. Obviously, 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 left as well. I guess a mistake they made, they probably felt they could hold on to 𝗬𝗏𝗏, and he had a release clause, and then it was met the day before the release clause stopped, and the game after we got beat 3-0, I think, by Middlesbrough in the Cup. And we didn't have the best, few weeks after that, so probably should have tried to get that addressed sooner. But one thing they did was when they cleared the decks, when they got the money that they needed to get in, which ultimately Sheffield United will have to do, there has to be a realisation, you know what, we're going to lose Sousa. We may lose 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. We'll probably lose 𝗤𝗏. But the quicker than that's done and the decks are cleared, then we can start to build a balanced squad. I think what Leeds United had the first time around, similar to yourselves, you just drop out of the Premier League, you've got some key top players. We had 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏, we had 𝗬𝗏𝗏. At times, we were a bit individualistic and we relied on them a little bit too much. What Leeds did second time around, because why would you sell them? They're amazing players, right? But having not gone up, what they then did is said, right, we need to have better balance. And that's one thing I'll say for Leeds United second time around. The team was so much more balanced. We had like Bogle on the right, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 on the left. That was a key sign. I know, I'm sorry, mate. I am sorry, but that was a key signing. We had, better midfielders. Like even, for example, we brought in Kamara for next to nothing. We quickly flipped him, sold him to a team in France and brought in Tanaka for a fraction of that. But Tanaka gave us more. And I think that's one thing. I think maybe even going back even further, that the previous regime before the 49ers probably held on to players too long, whereas I think this ownership is very much like, right, you've served your purpose. We're going to move you on now. I even think as well, none of the loans that we signed were ever given, if we get promoted, you'll be made permanent. They've all gone. They've all gone. Rothwell's gone to Rangers. Imagine we'd have been tied to signing him. He's not good enough for the Premier League. I look at Burnley now, for example, Hal. They've had to sign Jadon Anthony, Jan Fleming, Marcus Edwards, and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Jan Fleming's not going to work in the Premier League. Jadon Anthony's not a Premier League winger. So I think that's key as well, even future-proofing if you do go up. Because I know yourselves, you had like Tom Cannon, and you're thinking, God, if we had gone up, would have Tom Cannon. So I think recruitment's key. Balance throughout the squad, because you will lose players. Having faith in the manager, which, of course, that decision's already been made. So we'll touch on that, because that's a big one for me. Because I've actually been saying to fans of Leeds United who wanted the manager sacked, I never did. It's like, you can't sack a manager that got 90 points. Like, in a normal season, it gets you up. Like, we need to give this guy time. I've been saying Sheffield United will give us a good barometer of whether or not it would have worked or not. I know it's different teams and stuff, but 𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗍, new ideas, new squad. It could go amazing or it could be catastrophic. So I'm keen to see how you folks do actually having sacked Wilder.
Aren't we all? I think you've summed it up there so well. Manager, a big one. You kept yours.
Yeah.
What do you make, looking on from afar, as the Blades' new ownership replace Chris Wilder with 𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗍, if you know anything about 𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗍?
Yeah, well...
Sayers, as I should be saying.
Yeah, well, he was at Southampton, I believe, and did an amazing job at Reading, considering all the financial constraints and stuff they had there. He kept Hull in the league. He made some good acquisitions in the January window, although I'm not sure he has much say on it, really, to be fair, because I know their owner's a bit madcap. But like 𝗍𝗏 was one, for example, because I've been looking at that thinking, oh, he might pop up at Sheffield United now that 𝗍𝗏 has gone there. So yeah, he's a good coach. Clearly, he knows his onions, but he's clearly got a lot of standing as a coach. And for him to drop down to Reading and do well there and do well at Hull, he did do well at Hull. I just think it's a big step up and a big risk because Chris Wilder is a blade, and you know the thing is, if after 5 games you haven't started well, it's going to turn, and that's not ideal. And I just think Wilder did well last season. He just was met with obviously Leeds and Burnley doing as well as they did. We had it the season before. Just happens. I think as well, Hal. Sorry, I do this. I'm going off your point. Do you want me to stop?
No, carry on. This is why we get you on, Joe. They're sick of me rambling.
No, because I was going to say, I think Wilder would have been the better manager this season because the Championship for me is going to be so hard to navigate. I've been saying to Locks, Leicester fan, so you've got no chance, you know. There's no guarantees. When they went down before, there was sort of a guarantee, and I felt we'd be up there. Even last season, I felt Leeds will be there. This season, I said, if we don't go up, I do not know, because you've got Birmingham, you've got the teams dropping out of the Prem, which Ipswich are so set up for it now, especially if they keep McKenna. Southampton, Leicester, I think they might be getting Roll or 𝗍𝗫𝗍. You've got yourselves, those that didn't go up. Yeah, it's going to be such a hard division and such a good division to watch, not being involved in it.
Yeah, you can actually look back and enjoy it, because I think some people are probably going to go along with this. The teams coming up are going to be even stronger than maybe one at least of the teams coming down. There's going to be some splashing of the cash, which Sheffield United haven't done yet. Peck, I kind of equate with Gray. Summerville, I kind of equate with 𝗲𝗲. Rutter, I kind of equate with Vinny Souza. So you lost those players.
Yeah.
As a collective, though, you ended up playing better. Sheffield United might lose some or all of those players. At the time of recording, none of them have gone. And actually, when you look at it, it ended up working better for Leeds. That's why I thought Leeds would be a really good case study to talk about this. Yeah. But how do you believe Leeds did it? Winning promotion after that disappointment. Was there one area? Was it the formation, the tactics, the manager, the players? What do you think?
I think balance, mate. I think balance. Having Bogle on the right and Firpo on the left massively helped. Bogle was a key point. And I know I'm not just saying this, like, he was fantastic. Arguably one of our better players. I think Tanaka was unbelievable. The fact that we paid like less than $3 million for him. We tried to get in we tried to get in the summer before and couldn't, and that's why Kamara came in. So Tanaka was amazing. I think Solomon was key as well. No one near as exciting as Summerville, but he was just, again, balance. He gave us better balance on that left-hand side. We just balance. That's the word I'm going to use.
You keep saying it. All right. Yeah. So here's another thing to look at. Summerville, right? Went to West Ham, yeah.
Yeah.
Hasn't been the star of the Premier League.
No.
And was a star for Leeds. And I do sort of wonder about if the gap is now getting so enormous. Does that worry you for where I'm going to go next? Which is, and you often get these predictions right, and you might as well, so we can clip it when you're inevitably right. Where will Leeds finish in the Premier League?
Oh, I'd take 17th, but I actually feel we might do a little bit better. I do, Hal, and I'll give me reasons for it. Leeds are better for going up second time around because we have a better balanced squad, a better quality and a depth of squad than we would have had previously. So that's another bonus for you folks in terms of if you do go up, you're probably better suited because you've got more bodies. So I think there's that. I think the 49ers, the recruitment's key. They're recruiting well. We've been beaten to a few players by Sunderland, unfortunately. But we're recruiting well. I think we've been quite fortuitous in that Brentford have appointed bloody Keith Andrews, which is mental. They're going to lose Mbeumo. They've lost Norgard. They might lose 𝗍. That's 3 huge players. And, of course, Thomas Frank. We know, as being in Championship Premier League, he is unbelievable. So that's a massive loss. West Ham can't buy. They're having to sell Kudus. Maybe there's even talk of Bowen. I'm not sure on Wolves. The fact that the Premier League has the most teams competing in Europe it's ever had is a massive win for us. Because when the fixtures come out in Europe, straight away I'm going, right, have we got either Forest, Palace, or any team competing in Europe on the Sunday after they've played on the Thursday? There's no rhyme or reason as to why this is a thing, but stats show us if you play on a Thursday, you do poor on the weekend. So I hope...
I think there might be rhyme and reason, which is purely just travel, just fatigue.
Yeah, true. And they don't have the depth of squad that the rest of the top 6 do. And I also, and I've said this on my channel, which doesn't go down well, I actually want Man United to do well next season and Spurs. The reason I say that is because they dropped so many points against teams at the bottom last season. It made the gap big. I think Man United and Tottenham in the end realised that Ipswich, Leicester, they were never going to catch them, so they turned it in. Next season, them 2 teams will be competing at the top end. I do think Man United will get better. Spurs definitely will under Frank. So they have to take points from somewhere. They take them from the teams at the bottom. Therefore, making that 20-point difference, whatever it was, much shorter. So I think there's a big chance that Leeds United, because all of that into one positive bucket is like, yes, we can do it. I think as well, there's too much recency bias because the last 2 seasons haven't gone well for promoted teams. So if we actually look at it, Hal, Forest, who got Europe, stayed up the year we went down.
Yeah.
Brentford, who are doing ever so well under Frank before he went to Spurs, came up the year after us. No one, and Bournemouth, no one's going, people are forgetting that only just 3 seasons ago, they came up or stayed up. So there's too much recency bias as though it's a closed shop now forever because it's happened for the past 2 seasons. I think as well, you can look at case studies and say, well, Ipswich, did they buy for the Premier League? They're not going to lose a lot of their players. Amari Hutchinson, maybe Delap's already gone.
They certainly spent a bit.
Yeah, they did, but Jack Clark, players that'll flourish again in the Championship, again, let's see what we've got.
Proven.
Yes, and Leicester they were on to a hiding to nothing, having lost Maresca and then bringing in Steve Cooper, and his signings were terrible, the likes of bloody Ayew and stuff like that. They just weren't great. So recruitment's key, and I think we're getting it right so far. I don't know if you've seen, every player's been over 6'4", and there seems to be a data-led approach. We have defenders that are very good in attacking and defending set pieces.
This is where I was going next. This is another similarity now. Sheffield United are going with a data-led approach. Mm-hmm. And the players we're being linked with, certainly defenders that I've heard about, are ones that can get forward, maybe more ball-playing defenders rather than just straight stoppers. And actually last season, one of our best players was Harry Souttar, who was probably just be described as a stopper.
Yeah.
And I do think that's a similarity. Okay, of course, Sheffield United and Leeds have very, very different players. There'll be people watching this saying, you can't compare the two. The reason I initially thought of this idea is purely because you're in the same position after a playoff final. How do you come back from that huge defeat? And actually, when I initially spoke to you about this, Chris Wilder was still Sheffield United manager. So I thought, well, we're going to have that similarity by keeping the manager. It's been such a long time talking about this and actually doing it. And that's something that we made a decision on to try and see if more pieces would fall into place, more of the puzzle pieces, because we're still talking about ifs, buts, and maybes in terms of ins and outs. And until all those transfers have been done, you don't really know the strength of either of your sides. Although you've got my appetite whetted for the Premier League and Leeds, and it makes me think even more that I'm gutted that we missed out, because you
Yeah.
do describe it in a way that makes me think actually there will be some teams that will struggle more in the Premier League. I do think the Championship will be it will be chaos. It will be organised chaos. But there's going to be Leicester, who could be an absolute car crash, or they could be good. Sheffield Wednesday, no one knows what's going to happen there. And I also want to get your thoughts on this. How do you foresee Sheffield United getting on this season in the Championship? It's another one I can clip.
Had you have kept Wilder, I'd be a lot more confident in saying you'll definitely be in and around.
I think a lot of Blades would say the same.
Because he'd have got you there by hook or by crook. I just don't know. It's hard until we've seen 10 games, isn't it? We don't know what Leicester... We don't even know if Leicester are going to get a points deduction. That's still hanging over their head. They don't know who their coach is going to be. I think Birmingham will be good. I think Ipswich will be good. Coventry will come again because of Lampard, and he'll get some more decent loans. We know he's got friends in high places. It's really hard. Top six is a must. Is a must. You have to do that. Top six. I can't cut. And if you ask me again in 10 games.
Well, I will. If I was about to say, if you're Sheffield United owners, right, 10 games in, let's get up to Christmas, and Sheffield United aren't in the playoffs. What are you doing with 𝗬𝗿𝗲𝗍?
Luton's a perfect case study for this. You get rid. Because look where Luton are now.
They waited too long with Rob Edwards saying they just... Okay.
Had 𝗲𝗏 been out of the playoffs by Christmas, and I'm a big fan, I'd have said, no, you need to go. You need to go. Because the thing is, once you enter that third year parachute payments, Hal, it starts to become a big worry then, right? Because your revenues drop massively. And then you these three more teams coming back down from the... Yeah, it's... And like we say, if they could be a West Ham, it could be a Wolves, it could be someone who hasn't just yo-yoed, you know?
Yeah, with a bit of cash behind them next season. Next season could be even harder, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a lot of panic actually within the fan base about going into that third year, because it was a bit of a worry that we'd have to then lose like your Ampadu's, your Rodons, and then it's like, oh my God, you're having to rebuild again. Like, let's say, for example, you are... Mate, Ampadu was quality.
I know Ampadu's been class for you, but I also know who watches this channel, and it's Sheffield United fans, and they do not remember Ethan Ampadu fondly. I don't remember him fondly, although I speak to you regularly, so I know how well he's playing.
Yeah. Well, he was made captain, wasn't he? He was made captain, so... yeah, I'm interested to see, actually, what will happen in the Premier League, because we're going for absolute physical specimens, and he's not that, really. So
no, and he's played in the Premier League before with Sheffield United, and it didn't work for him, even though I think since then he's become a much more confident player. Yeah,
definitely. He was young, a lot younger. You forget that... I mean, he made his debut at Exeter at like 15, I think, and like he's still so young. So I actually think the price we paid for him at 7 million was a snip, to be honest, all things considered, 2 years after. But I did just want to touch on the data-led approach thing as well. I think, last year we went very technical and earmarked certain players. This year we've gone with physical. Every defender we've brought in is in the top 10%, some even within the top 2% across Europe for touches in the attacking penalty box and defensive penalty box. Like 𝗍𝗿𝗲𝗍 similar to your man Harry Maguire, because I say we've got the Slovakian Harry Maguire, because they're the sort of players you need, though, right? In the Premier League, and I think Leeds United are aware that they're going to be under the cosh a lot, and I remember being under 𝗍𝗍𝗍. Every time a team got a corner, it was a goal. West Ham scored 3 corners against us and beat us 3-1. 𝗏𝗏 every time, bang. And it was like, we can't do nothing against this. So I think Leeds are aware that apparently they've done a lot of tests to say what keeps you in the division. And they've taken a lot of information and gone, right, we need to be good in both boxes. And that's what they've done. And I think data-led approach, and that might be part of the reason with the Wilder thing, he was never, ever going to go for that. I think, like, if they'd have said, well, I know it's moving with the times and stuff in it. Even yeah, even us as fans probably like can sniff at it. I was speaking to a Leeds fan just before I came on and saying, "Oh, I need to go," and he said, "I still can't believe they sacked Wilder." So I told him I was coming here. I said, "I know it's a mad decision, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see how the cookie crumbles, mate."
We really will. Lots of blades still equally surprised at that decision. Who knows the real reason? Maybe we'll find out one day.
I did see
Maybe
the
we won't.
video, Hal, of the Sheffield United fan saying, "I've got 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗍 love." I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious.
It's not funny. It's not funny.
I thought it was hilarious.
I'm all for like having a bit of a laugh and a
Yeah.
joke, as you know,
Yeah.
and I'd never take football too seriously because
Yeah.
you know, obviously life is more important.
Yeah.
But I do think that joking about killing someone actually isn't particularly funny. That's just
when you
me.
say it like that, but I just
It's just not funny.
Oh, why do I with all that? I've got
There's a different way of doing it, I think, that was the same joke could be made without sort of a joke about attempted murder. But, well, successful as he was. Anyway, why am I getting drawn into this? I don't want to talk about it. I wanted to talk to you, Joe, and I've done that. That's been a success. Thank you. This is exactly what I hoped you would share. You've got me much more excited for the season. Just Joe, do check out his channel. You do stuff that isn't just Leeds United. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, we do the Yorkshire Rose. What is it? It's
White Rose. It's your channel, mate.
I don't even remember. I'm Premier League. I'm like, forget Yorkshire. No, White Rose Rivals every Thursday, 6 p.m., which is going to be amazing this year because I'm probably going to get battered every week. So that'll be fun for the rest of the panel. Ash, who's Wednesdayite. I mean, I don't even know what's going on there.
I often clash with Ash, so that's interesting to watch. He's never had a single comeback, but maybe next season he will.
Yeah, maybe. We've got 𝗍𝗿𝗄. I mean, he's a housewife's favourite. It's a great show.
Choice, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great show, and a lot of people do enjoy it. And it's just, I guess, 5 or 6 Yorkshire lads just having a good chinwag, man. It goes down really well. Rotherham obviously got rid of Steve Evans, so Matt will be a lot happier. So I have that. I have Leeds stuff, of course. I'm excited for the Premier League. I really am, and yeah, please come along for the ride. Positive or negative, I'll be reviewing games and stuff. So yeah,
watch alongs the work. Well, you know, because you're a mate, I hope it goes well for you. Naturally, of course, I hate Leeds United, so we shall see. I can't really lose for Leeds in the Premier League next season. I won't lie to you. I won't be watching too much Premier League football. I will be glued to what I think will be another fascinating Championship season. Joe, from Just Joe, thank you again. 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗍𝗕 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗍 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗍